Be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. It's a good deal and helps support the show. What's up, Planeswalkers? Theox6 back with some more Magic the Gathering Arena. Today, we're going to play some Historic. Technically, our schedule's a little wonky. That's because of the Artisan event. Who cares? Doesn't matter. We're playing some good old-fashioned Historic today. And for those of you who don't know, you've been able to play Historic for a while. But Wizards decides to hide it. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the deck, and then I'll get into exactly how you can play Historic. So we're just, we're bringing back a classic, good old-fashioned Golgari zombies. The reason we are doing zombies in Historic essentially is because of Devkarin and Liliana Untouched by Death. Now, we do have some great cards added from the new set, particularly Murderous Rider. This card is going to be able to give us a little bit more leeway in having a smaller real removal count by letting us kill things, and still being a zombie itself, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, we are running 4 Stitcher Suppliers because, just like most of the Golgari zombie decks that I play, I tend to try and make it more of a long-term plan, not necessarily an aggressive deck. I want to make sure I can, loot Molderhulks and be able to cast, like, big Planeswalker Liliana. So things like that, and Stitcher Supplier helps in that kind of long-term plan by filling up my yard. 2 Foulmire Knights. I actually really like this card over some of the other 1-drop zombie options, and the reason for that is, if I draw it early, I can just play it as a nice 1/1 with Death Touch. However, if I draw it late, I'm going to be able to draw an additional card and still play the Knight. 4 mana for a 1/1 Death Touch, draw a card, lose a life isn't the best, but when it is a zombie and it works into our plan and still does help us, even in the late game, I think it is quite helpful. I said helpful, whatever. 4 Lazotep Reavers. This card is a 2-for-1 Zombies. It's fantastic if you can curve Lazotep Reaver into Devkarin, because that is a good old 4 power on turn 3. That actually has a decent amount of toughness. Lazotep Reaver doesn't technically help in a bunch of other ways. We do have 2 Dreadhorde Invasions, but this deck doesn't really focus on the whole army creation, so it is mostly because it is 2 bodies. Now, 2 Dreadhorde Invasion. This card was hard to decide exactly how much I wanted, and I decided on 2 because at 2, it has some good annoyance properties against control, and it doesn't lead us to having too many in play at once. Technically, I could play around that by just not playing that many, but against aggro, you don't really want a ton. Now, against aggro, it's still helpful, because oftentimes these 1/1 zombies are going to be chump blocking things that are slightly larger, which means that technically you're saving on whatever that life differential is for each of those attacking creatures that you're able to block. 2 Assassin's Trophies. Now, it's possible that this instead should just be things like Moment of Craving. However, I found that we have plenty of creature and Planeswalker removal in the Contempts, and the Murderous Riders, and I wanted to make sure that I had some sort of way to deal with enchantments, essentially. Artifacts haven't been too much of an issue, but enchantments are really annoying. So I want to have something to deal with that, and Assassin's Trophy does that really fantastically. For what it's worth, it can still deal with these early game threats, but its primary goal is to deal with essentially anything that our actual removal spells can't. We have a single Midnight Reaper. This was really hard, and the reason it was hard is because Midnight Reaper is really an amazingly helpful draw engine in this deck. I would definitely say it is worth it if you decide to play Best of 3 Historic, which isn't technically around right now, I don't think, to have an additional copies, probably 2 in the sideboard, against those really grindy control decks, where Devkarin's buff may not be as important per se. And the reason for this is because against the average deck, having extra draw is good, but it really shines against control, and the deal 1 damage to yourself does stack up against aggro, so Midnight Reaper is only okay in a vacuum when you consider the other 3 drops that we really need to have. The first of those being, of course, Devkarin. Devkarin is our lord. It's a good old 3-mana 2/2 that gives our zombies Death Touch. It does give them +1/+1, but really having Death Touch on all of our zombies makes them even better. Being able to have a Lazotep Reaver, or the army from Dreadhorde Invasion or Lazotep Reaver have Death Touch is fantastic, because it means that we can deal with bigger creatures. Mono Green was the one deck that I lost against in practice, which I'll talk about in a bit. And if I had Devkarin earlier, well, I also needed mana, but whatever. It would have been a lot easier to deal with the stupid large creatures that they played. Murderous Rider, it destroys a creature Planeswalker. You do lose 2 life, but it does have lifelink. And if you're going to be able to, have this out when you have a Devkarin out, it means you're going to be gaining 3 life per damage dealt. The fact that it's a 2/3 is very helpful. Against some decks, you are just going to want to play this on curve as a 2/3, especially against the mono red decks, where they may just use like a lightning strike on it, but that's 3 damage not going to your face, so that's nice. It is just a very helpful card, and we'll see We'll see how helpful it is. One Storrev. We're playing one Storrev because, goddammit, she's cool. That's pretty much it. Technically, you could probably cut Storrev for an additional Molderhulk or something like that, but I like Storrev. She'll probably get cut eventually, but being able to get a Liliana or like a Molderhulk or something out of your graveyard is very helpful. She also is, 4 mana 5/4 with trample. Not bad. 2 Liliana Untouched by Death. This card's great. I might even want to get rid of Storrev for just another Liliana Untouched by Death because of how great this card is. Against the control deck, she is just a drain 2, or she's just my opponent loses 2 life, and against aggro, it is just I gain 2 life. She is so incredibly helpful. She is like single-handedly what won me my last practice game, which was against Mono Red. The -2 being able to just kill opposing creatures is fantastic, especially since it's a -1/-1. So if you deal with any Downtoke Vanguards, you're going to be able to play, have Liliana out and just minus it. Lazotep Reaver works really nicely with Liliana because it's a 2-for-1. You can go ahead and have 2 bodies immediately. And then -3 being able to cast zombies from your graveyard means that against the control deck, if they've board wiped you a bunch of times and you have the mana for it, -3 on this, get some stuff back, especially if you're able to get back a variety of things, Lazotep Reaver plus a Devkarin plus a Midnight Reaper, so that you don't have to deal with getting board wiped again, or if you do, it's not as bad. 2 Vraska's Contempt, exiles a creature or planeswalker, except it costs 1 more, can't be a creature, and you gain 2. So kind of the same as this, but different, but still the same. I just got an email. Who cares? It's good. 2 Underrealm Lich. I'm playing this because I could technically mill myself because of the sheer amount of putting things in my graveyard that I do. Searcher Supplier, Liliana Untouched by Death, and technically drawing cards from Midnight Reaper and Liliana, and technically Underrealm Lich itself, means that technically I could deck myself. That actually happened in the Mono Red matchup, which I still won, because Underrealm Lich means that we don't draw cards. This is a replacement effect. You don't draw cards anymore. You just select the top 3, and if there are no cards left, it just means you don't draw. So this works really nicely with Midnight Reaper and Liliana Dreadhorde General because those are draw effects and they replace all your draws, not just the one at the beginning of your round keep. It's a 4/3 for 5, which isn't the best, but we can protect it by paying for life. Obviously, against board wipes, this is fantastic because we're going to be able to just pay for, and against control, usually that's not too big a deal. Against aggro, it is a little bit more iffy. If you're like sub 20 cards, then usually I'll pay for because I don't want to deck myself. But if you're above that, then you usually just let it die. 2 Fine Finalities. Finality essentially is a board wipe for us, and it is helpful for that reason. It is something that, in general, we're going to be able to use if we have to, but usually it's just going to be Find, and Find is going to be able to get us back whatever we need at the moment. It's just a very versatile card that helps against the control decks on the one hand and aggro decks on the other. 2 Liliana Dreadhorde General. She is exactly everything that you want. She makes dudes, lets you draw cards, kills dudes, kills opponents. Fantastic. Molderhulk is the PS, the Resistance. It's why I like the black-green version so much. You're going to be able to loop this with your good old Memorial to Follies, and it's just oftentimes a very cheap 6/6. What else is left to say? This mana base is not ideal, I'm sure, but who cares, whatever. We have Castle Locthwain just in case, 2 Memorial Follies to work with Molderhulk, a few basics, obviously max Overgrown Tombs and Woodland Cemeteries because they help our mana base, 2 Temple of Maladies because, 1, I wanted mana diversification, and it does help in the later games making sure we don't flood out too much. We are only running 24 lands, but 2 Fabled Passage to get these cards, 1 Field of Ruin just in case we go up against other Field of the Dead decks, and a Field of the Dead because this card makes zombies. So I figured why not have 1 in the deck. And of course 2 Unclaimed Territories because we're mostly playing zombies. Now I will talk about the sideboard after the games, but this is how you play Historic. You go into play mode, and instead of picking this, you pick a Historic deck. Notice, if I go to Standard Ranked, that Historic deck is now no longer able to be selected. I cannot select this. I can select this, cannot select this. Traditional Standard play, I'm pretty sure you can't play Best of 3 either. Yeah, there's also no Best of 3. The only way you can play Historic right now is if you go into normal play mode and just put a Historic deck in. And they're going to be matched up with other people who play Historic decks. Now, I found that it actually doesn't seem to be taking much longer to match up with people in Historic. So, if you are sick of Standard right now, and you want to play Historic, that seems reasonable. Of course, now it's taking a little bit longer than it did when I was playing Practice, but who cares? Some behind the scenes stuff. I'm actually filming this the day that it's going up because I was playing with my friends last night, and I didn't feel like stopping to record. This hand is okay, actually. I can Field of the Dead into a Swamp. for probably Lazotep Reaver, because it's a good body, and then Woodland Cemetery into most likely just the Dreadhorde. I do want some more mana, but should be okay. Opponent is Winter Prit. This isn't the mono green player that I faced, was it? Shit, it might be. I went up against mono green. That's the one game I lost. Yikes. I think this is the mono green deck that I played against. All right, so that's a good thing on turn 3. So I can turn 2, turn 3. So hopefully this will help us out against this deck. Yorgo. Yikes. Play this out. Play this out. Supplier is going to help us a little bit at getting our Molderhulk down. Questing Beast. Nope, nope, this is not the same deck. No blocks. Ow, ow. I'm already at 11. Yeah, mono green is definitely an issue. This just can't block those. Yeah. I can block Yorvo, which is nice. But this just, like, can't block those. That turn 1 Llanowar Elf. I think Deadweight. Oh, fuck off. Is another card that I was playing, but yep, can't block that. And this has trample. Oh, that's fine. I'm going to Reaver and Supplier. Okay, so I can block this now. That's 12, so let's see. Chump. Actually block this would be 6. And I would take 8. No, I would take 6, dumbass. And that's if things go perfectly. So I'm probably just dead here. Mono green does seem to be the biggest issue. Just because the sheer size of these lads. Champion doesn't kill me right now, so that's fine. Yorvo doesn't have trample, so I don't care. Another champion, that's fine. Because I can kill things he attacks with. Sure. So he's just attacking with those. So definitely here. I need to block with at least 5. Let's see. I do want to make my Molderhulk cheaper, so I'm going to block at least like that. These are also expensive as fuck, which is a problem. I have no lands in my yard. That is not great. Let's see. So I can't block these either way. If I do that... Oh no, then I still actually die. Because that's just 5, so that would be 7. Yeah, so I have to block like this. Darn. Oh, wait, so if he attacked with Yorvo... Did I do my math wrong? 3. No, I didn't do my math wrong. So my opponent should have attacked with Yorvo. Molderhulk is cheaper. And I can play a swamp as well. But that doesn't do anything for me. Nope, I'm dead. Yeah, the mono green deck seems to be the biggest issue. Technically, game 1 I went against Turbo Concede. They mulliganed to 6 and then conceded. Which you might get a little bit of, since this is historic and it's not... Actually, it says something here, let's see. Play, change deck. No, stop it. You say something. Yeah. Play, you must use a standard deck to earn the daily and weekly rewards. So these two things, right, these will not increment if you're playing historic, which 1 is bullshit and 2 is bullshit. It does still count for the quests, though. It just doesn't count for the daily and weekly rewards, which is bullshit. But that does mean that your opponents may be more likely to just concede. Mono green, I did mull to 6 in the practice games, and only had 2 lands. And I actually realized that my practice games, I didn't make my mana base. It was just basics and a 1 of each of the non-basics that I'm playing. So take that as you will. This hand is fine. I can turn 1 Supplier, turn 2 Field. Maybe I should turn 1 Field, or turn 1 Passage, turn 2 Supplier Field, turn 3 Baron. I think that technically might be a little better, because it guarantees that I can play Baron on 3. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that instead. But I had to keep a 2-lander, because, well, I didn't have to, but I had 3 what the hell are these damn things called? Lazotep Reavers. I had 3 Lazotep Reavers, and I was like, okay, that, you know, should be fine, whatever. I have a bunch of things to play. Functionally had a good hand. I was stuck on 4 mana for like the entire game. I was stuck on 3 mana for a long time, but I was stuck on 4 mana for the rest of the game, really. This is almost certainly going to be tempo. This is almost certainly mono blue tempo, right? So I could cast Devkarin, but then I wouldn't be able to cast Liliana next turn. I wouldn't be guaranteed to cast Liliana next turn. But I kind of want them to use their counterspells now. So I assume we're going to see a Quench here. You gonna bounce my Supplier? No. Is this just a Cutthroat at the end of turn? Yeah, I guess it's just a Cutthroat at the end of turn. Alright, sure. That's fine. Flash Fish is Flash Fish. Then I went against Mono Red, and I somehow won that matchup. I didn't expect that. But Mono Red seems to be a better matchup than Mono Green. I think it's because our life gain increments are more equivalent against the Mono Red deck. Mono Green is just too large. Why would I not block that? Why would I not block that? I don't, like, even if you cast Dive Down now, why would I not block it? Yeah, that's fine. Alright, so I have 2 blockers for it. Which means, once again, I'm just going to block it. Unless my opponent plays an instant here. Contempt. Do I want another Contempt? Probably. I think I should make sure I have removal against this deck. But I'm not going to attack. I was greedy. I shouldn't have attacked the first time. So this is going to be bigger, but I'm just going to chump it at this point. Probably going to Contempt at the end of my opponent's turn. And then Contempt again on mine. Easy chump is easy. Oh, right. I forgot to get rid of the Contempt. Because I have block. It's fine. Sure. Jin, sure. So, a good question here is, do they have another Dive Down? I mean, they almost certainly do have Dive Down and or Spell Pierce. But for right now, I actually can get rid of the Cutthroat, or I can still block the Cutthroat. So I feel like it might be better to, on their upkeep, target the Tempest Djinn. I am a little worried about them bouncing Supplier, so that's fine. If I top deck a land and they don't have a counterspell, which I'm sure they will, then I'll be able to play Liliana. Damn it. Going to block. So I need them to not have a counterspell. They don't have a wizard out, so they can't use Wizard's Retort. They can still quench though, and I do need to draw a land in order to play Liliana. Shit, now they can play Wizard's Retort. Well, that also just doesn't matter. So I've lost. Yeah, I'm just gonna concede. We're the mono red. Also, I've been facing nothing but monocolored decks. I've not played against a single a multicolored deck yet. It's very interesting. But yeah, against mono red, I was able to just win that game essentially off the back of Untouched by Death Liliana, which is very fun. If I am going against monocolored decks, and a lot of them are aggressive, it might be correct to just play more early game removal spells. This hand is fine. Not the best, but it is fine. No, it's not good, actually, because both of these will come in tapped. That's one of the reasons I don't want to play Unclaimed Territory, and I think I'm going to cut it. But this is the first iteration of a historic deck. I do plan on making changes to it for sure. That said, I'm going to keep it. It still does have three lands in it. And mono white, here we come. So I'm going to go for... Am I going to go for Stitcher Supplier first? Or guarantee access to Lazotep Reaver? I think I'm going to guarantee access to Lazotep Reaver. Giant Killer. Interesting. This is not the deck that I thought it was. It is Boros. Let's see. So that is not gonna matter to me too much. This is Boros. This is control deck, isn't it? Is this like Boros taxes? It might be. Yeah. I think I'd rather do this. I don't need double green for anything. And I'm doing it before I play Stitcher Supplier, just in case I mill all three of my swamps. It's not very likely, but it is something that could happen. So I want to make sure that it is least likely to happen. Now let's see. Point on Benelish Marshall. Okay, yep, it's white weenie with red. No blocks. I'm good. I'll play Midnight Reaper. So I can play Midnight Reaper, or I can play Lazotep plus Stitchers. My opponent could tap down my Midnight Reaper, but then they wouldn't be able to trigger Legion's End, Legion's Landing. I think I'm just gonna play this. Because this one creature can deal with Benelish Marshal, and I would have to use both of these to deal with Benelish Marshal, so looks like... Oh, it's knights? Wait. But neither of those are knights. Alright, that's fine. Relatively inexpensive Molderhulk, don't hate it. Should have kept the Giant Killer, my friend. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna be greedy, because if we get one creature, that means the Stitcher Supplier is free. Just barely got there. We'll do this, and we'll grab... could just grab another Memorial to Folly. Could grab an Overgrown Tomb. I think I'm just gonna grab my second Memorial to Folly. So they're probably going to tap my Molderhulk with Giant Killer. Yep. Worthy Knight. So this is a really weird deck, is what I'm getting. I'm just going to block like so. Ow. What do I have? 34. Cool. Death Baron is nice to see. Zombie, please. I have 6 mana. So I could Lazotep Reaver and Liliana. Liliana minus to kill the Worthy Knight. Opponent has 2 cards left. I'm at 6. But I'd have 2 blockers, one of which would get tapped down. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to Laz Reaver. Play my Liliana minus 2 her.
The etchings prove kill.
Every creature in this deck is a zombie now, so I don't have to worry too much about... I don't have to worry too much about miscalculating with my Liliana. I believe every single creature in the deck is a zombie. Even the ones that can be made. Fervent Champion. I don't like this. Heroic Reinforcements. Oh, I'm just dead, aren't I? No, I guess not. Block. Block, block. 2, 4, 6. No, I'm dead. 2, 4, 6, yep. So close. Don't want to make any audibles. No, we'll play one more game. I don't care if I don't win any. I'm sure some people might, but this is my first foray into Historic. I'm getting a feel of the metagame. It's really aggressive. Perfect blue. I feel like I've played you before. Let's see. So we temple first into unclaimed territory. Sure. So if it is as aggressive as it seems, then I actually don't know if I want Find anymore. I think I would rather just get, like, Witch's Brew or whatever. So Find Finality is gone. It's fine. It's fine. Go Zombie. Play the Reaver. This might be our first control deck. Could be 5-color black. No. Interesting. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to cast this, see if my opponent does anything. Attacking for 3. Cool, cool. Could get Cried here. That'd be very sad. We can Cried. Nope, just campaign. I'm going to drop the Cemetery. Cast Deathbaron. Smorkin for a decent amount. Now, we still die to Cry. Because Cry kills Deathbaron, which takes out the toughness. Cool. I'm going to attack first. Because if my opponent has response here, then they're less likely to use it on my Liliana. And my Liliana, technically, can deal more damage over time. I have like, what, 25 zombies? So it's relatively unlikely that I whiff. So now they have to deal with Liliana. And my board. If both of my Lazotep Reavers die... Oh, that's fine. I'll just sack this. So now... I just need to hit a zombie. And then I win.
Wait till you see what I've got.
I win. Oh, no! Why can't I do basic math? I'm gonna draw a card. I'll play this, I suppose. Zombie. No reason to play this right now, is there? 5 mana. If this dies, this becomes 5. Alright, I have to discard this. Shoot. I shouldn't have played that land. Curses. I messed myself up. I'll play it. I made some misplays there. For sure. Made some misplays there. But they still have to deal with Liliana and my board, and they only have 5, potentially 6 mana. Let's see. They can't Murderous Rider plus Cry. Discovery. Alright, they're searching. Let's see, surveil both to the grave. There are limited resources here. And I'm not talking about the podcast. Alright, we won one of the games, and it was against Control. And that, for what it's worth, is, I think, where this deck shines, is against Control. But it looks like Control might be the, might be in the minority in this format. So, I think I'm going to make some changes to this deck, and play it again. Not right soon, but whatever. But I'm going to talk about some of the cards that were, you know, in the sideboard or whatevs. Disfigure is, I think, a potential card if we are going against mostly aggressive decks. Now, I wouldn't put Disfigure in the main deck, I don't think. I do think this would be probably fine in the sideboard. Now, what are you saying, Theurix? There is no best of 3. There are going to, I believe, be best of 3 events. This is fucking stupid, but Wizards has decided to do for some stupid reason. But I think Disfigure would help a lot against those early Llanowar Elves, against any early annoyance from mono blue decks. Mono red decks, you know, can kill Steamkin, things like that. Duress, if best of 3 does bring more control decks or combo decks into the fold, then Duress is something that you're definitely going to want. Epic Downfall does not seem to be important at all, because it seems like this is mostly going to be aggro decks. Legion's End, probably going to be helpful if a lot of things are aggressive. I don't know if it's going to be better than just playing other more versatile removal spells, but Legion's End is definitely a consideration. Liliana's Triumph. We have right now 4 total Lilianas to draw. I think that I might end up adding an additional Liliana and probably taking out like Storrev or something. How many zombies do I have? 24. Oh, only 24. Still, that's a decent amount of zombies. It's 40% of the deck. 40% of the deck are zombies. So I might cut out Storrev, add in another Liliana. I might drop down to like 1 Find Finality and either increase this Liliana or Molderhulk, but potentially Liliana's Triumph might be even main deckable potentially. It just depends on how much Liliana value you can get. Moment of Cribbing is a different selection for Disfigure. I think Disfigure is probably going to be more valuable because of the prevalence of really annoying 1 mana creatures that you really want to get rid of immediately. So I think that even though Moment of Craving would give us life, I think there is an okay enough amount of life that we can justify running Disfigure instead. Noxious Grasp is a fantastic sideboard card, period. The Elder Spell doesn't seem like there's a lot of Planeswalkers running around. And since we are a deck that has really annoying creatures to deal with, I think that Elder Spell is not going to be necessary. At least right now where the meta is. Crawl Harpooner, don't think it's going to be too big of a deal. It does help against the tempo decks, but it's not a zombie, so fuck that card. Once Upon a Time is cute, don't play it. Icon of Ancestry is not a zombie. I'd rather just play a zombie. Eldritch Reborn. If there are really grindy mid-range and control decks, I think Eldritch Reborn might be reasonable. Whether or not that's true, or whether or not it's better than Vanquisher's Banner, I don't know, because I haven't actually played enough of Historic right now to say. Vanquisher's Banner, I think it's really good, because it at least draws you a card. Icon of Ancestry is helpful in that it comes down on 3, and then you can use excess mana to try and get another creature. The issue is that it is a decent chunk of mana sink, and we are only running 24 lands, so I don't know if it's actually valuable. Whereas Vanquisher's Banner, we just get the benefit of drawing cards for an increased initial investment. I think Vanquisher's Banner is definitely better than Icon. Whether or not it would be better in like kind of a grindy match than Eldritch Reborn, not sure. Ronus is not as good as Bantu. Am I playing Bantu? I'm not playing Bantu, so I thought I had Bantu in here. Bantu is okay, but I very rarely find myself with excess things that I want to sacrifice to draw cards. So, and then Casualties of War is a sideboard option. That's about it. It's possible. Another thing I'm thinking of is just being my awful self and running 25 lands in a 61 card deck. Technically, that makes the percentage of lands. It's less than 40. It's like 39 point something, or 38 point something, which is higher than 23 out of 60, but lower than 24 out of 60. Higher than, I don't know. It's somewhere that's helpful. So I might end up doing that, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's see what else. And I am going a bit more in depth than I usually do in the sideboard section, but bear with me. Foulmire Knight, I think is totally fine. It did exactly what I wanted it to. Stitch Supplier is fine. Invasion. Invasion may actually be better as something else. It's possible I could lead more into the Invasion, but I might instead prefer Invasion in a black-red zombie deck that is more focused on the armies and more focused on being aggressive. So I think that might be where Dreadhorde Invasion shines, and it's possible that I would just be better off with something else in the slot. I'm not entirely sure. Zombie fans, let me know what you think about that specifically. Reaver did what it meant to do. Assassin's Trophy got rid of an annoying-ass thing in practice. I can't remember what it was. I do not remember what it was. Find, I already talked about. I think this might be too slow for the metagame right now. I think that I can maybe have 1 in the deck, because it is valuable if you can have it, and it does have the possibility of being a finality. But if mono green, if big green is my main concern for go wide strategies, then it might not even do enough against those matchups. I'm not sure. Min Reaper is fine. I think honestly, I think having it 1 is fine. I think I want more Liliana. Untouched by Death. Storrev I think is too cute. These did what I wanted them to. So yeah, I think this is fine. Let's see, mana base wise, I didn't like Unclaimed, I didn't like Unclaimed Territory. Like, there are plenty, the thing is, right, there are plenty of zombies, right? I'm running 24. I'm running 40% of my deck in zombies. So I think that's fine, and it doesn't really impede my casting of any non-zombie. But what it does do is it essentially makes more of my lands come in tapped. So I do think that that's something that I think I'm going to change. Yeah, that's something I think I'm going to change. I'm much likely to cut these out and honestly probably just add another Swamp and Forest. Although, do I need another forest? I only have 25. Everything in the deck is black. Some things are green. So I'm not entirely sure I'll add another forest. I might just add 2 swamps. I do have to potentially reconsider playing Field of the Dead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, because I would need one of each. Wait, I forgot about these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so it's not terrible, but it's not the best. So I might not end up running Field of the Dead. So I think that's one of the land changes that I'll make. I think it's reasonable. Let me know what you guys think about Historic, and obviously we all know Wizards handling Historic is trash, right? It's utter garbage. Let me know what you think about what you've seen of the meta so far. Let me know if you even knew that you could play Historic right now. I would like to know how many of you knew that you could play Historic right now. Because I know that from the internet, a lot of people didn't know. They did not realize. And that is stupid. That just shows that this system is trash. It's always been trash, but it's trash. I hate it. And I wish they changed this system for like the whole play mode. This shouldn't be here. This barely changed. This mode thing should not be here. They should just be curated for everyone. And then events, sure. Fine match, sure. The difference is that this should say, sure, it says play a single game versus another play. It should just say unranked best of 1. Ranked best of 1. Unranked best of 3. Ranked best of 3. Traditional, I just realized this shit. Traditional ranked is an alternate competitive queue that uses best of 3 rules and standard decks. This should be the basic, not the alternate, but whatever. Default competitive queue. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I'd like to thank my patrons, especially Zin and Furry God, for the continued support. If you'd like to join them and support the show, you can find links to that down in the description below. As well as links to my Aether Hub, where I host all of my deck lists, including this one. Discord server, Twitter, Twitch, all that nonsense. Words are hard. I hope you've enjoyed this historic video. If you did, go and tap that like button, add subscription to your mana pool, cast a comment to the comment section down below, pass the turn, and the vid to some of your friends, and of course, until next time, all will be one.